SandoTrini, a San Fernando story. The Three Corners. The corners in Trinidad and Tobago replaced the imatel trees, the salmon trees, and the bacano trees, where people congregated to trade news and gossip. Every village had its liming tree or big tree, and every town had its corner. A Calypsonian named Small Island Pride sang about Green Corner as a place to confront his stick-fighting challengers in Port of Spain. Some of his lyrics were, Massife, meet me down by Dequaze. Chuck outer, meet me down by Green Corner. Green Corner was the corner of Street Vincent and Park Streets in Port of Spain. If Woodford Square was the place for serious discussions, then Green Corner was the place for bacchanal. In the northeastern town of Arima, the liming corner was called the Dial. This was named after a square-shaped clock which stood in the middle of the intersection of Broadway and Queen Streets. Calypsonian Rose sang about going down San Fernando. There, the main intersection was called Library Corner. It was at the corner of Coffee Street and Harris Promenade, but it also extended to where the old Woolworth building linked Coffee Street and Upper High Street. The Library Corner was renamed the Old Saga Boys Corner. There, the Saga Boys, hot men and dressers of days gone by, gathered to bust a lime. There were many white beards, white dreadlocks, and contrasting dark sunbaked faces. Their fast hop and bop Saga Boy strides turned into slow hop and drop crawls, and walking sticks became increasingly common. Another liming spot was at the corner of Lower Hillside and Coffee Streets. The location was called Deportee Corner. Deportees from Europe, Canada, Venezuela, and United States convened there daily. They toasted and roasted each other and exchanged words of wisdom and stories of good times spent in foreign lands. Kelvin was a popular deportee and vendor who offered congee water as a healthy substitute for city water. He disapproved of the water provided by the Water and Sewage Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. He claimed that he discovered the benefits of congee water during his stay overseas. Kelvin had a very pronounced American Brooklyn accent, and so did many of his friends. Miss Helena was an elderly woman who lived on Upper Hillside Street. Whenever she passed by, she sucked her teeth very loudly and gave Kelvin the once-over and the up-and-down look of disapproval. She made the dreaded teeth-sucking sound, stoops. Congee water my foot. Kelvin turned around and seemed visibly annoyed. Apparently, they had sparred before. He quickly switched to his San Fernando accent. He said, "Look mammy, why don't you leave me alone? Why you always pass by here to jumby me?" The woman replied, "Me? Jumby you? What is congee water? Boy, you selling rice water." She continued, "A lot of poor people in Trinidad grew up on rice water. I'll tell you something about rice water." She continued, "Rice water, or your congee water, is the water we saved when we soaked and cooked rice. We drank it for the vitamins, A, B, C, and for the minerals and nutrients we couldn't get elsewhere. I'm in my 80s and I drank rice water from since I was a young baby." Kelvin was speechless. Miss Helen had won again, and she had the last word. The other liming corner was known as Fresh Water Corner. It was at the corner of Coffee and Lord Streets in San Fernando. Fresh Water Corner hosted visitors from the diaspora. Some were clearly driven by instinct, similar to spawning salmon who returned to their birthplace. The freshwater folks returned each year to the corner of Lord and Coffee Streets, to be transformed into Iron Men. Those were men who arrived at the corner with old brake hubs and pieces of metal which they used to hammer out competing, yet syncopating rhythms. Beers flowed freely and bush rum evaporated at Freshwater Corner. The name highlighted those who spent a very short time overseas, but who completely lost all traces of their Trinidadian accents. Limers at the various corners in San Fernando waited for the expats who returned to Trinidad to follow Calypsonian Tambu's orders to free up. Free up. There were tears of joy as the sunlight lit up the faces at Freshwater Corner. No one seemed happy to leave after a short visit to San Fernando. Some cried openly as their departure dates approached. The end.